Welcome, everyone. I'll call the meeting to order, and I'll ask for adoption of the minutes of our July 17th meeting. Councillor Hagedorn and Deputy Reeve Townend, any discussion or questions arising from those minutes? None noted. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda, please? Councillor Hogg, Councillor Davison, all in favor? Carried. Thank you. Any disclosure of pecuniary interest and the general nature thereof? None declared. Matters for consideration, number 1, the Transportation Master Plan. And we have a recommendation this be received and that Council direct staff to award the contract for the Transportation Master Plan to GHD Limited in the amount of $175,155. Mr. Wager, do you want to speak to this?
Yes, I don't have anything to really highlight. You just kind of said it all. I will say that we are staff's recommending award not to the low bidder, but to the firm that scored the highest. This firm knows the county very well, and they have staff on the firm that completed the Transportation Master Plan back in 2014. Little fun fact too is the if you look at the budget, I had $175,000 in this year and $175,000 in next year. The scores for the budget were all below our budget, but this one was right around our $175,000 the first year. Back in 2014, we actually paid $168,000 for the original Transportation Master Plan. So 10 years later, we're only paying $10,000 more. Is a pretty good investment when you consider all the inflation that's occurred over the last several years. I'd be happy to answer any questions should council have any.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Wager? None. Can I get a motion then to receive and approve? Deputy Warden Townend and Councillor Calver, all in favor? That's carried. Thank you. The next item is through highways and stop signs at intersections, a proposed bylaw amendment through highways and stop signs at infrastructure. This is in the heart of Selby, I believe, Mr. Wager.
Yes, again, this was removed, I think about 12 or 15 years ago when that intersection was realigned. But looking at the modifications to the technical design manuals, there's now new considerations for stopping site distance as well as decision-making distances, which now require this to be a three-way stop at all the at Pleasant Drive North and Pleasant Drive South on County Road 11. And you'll see the bylaw accompanying this later in the bylaws section. I'll be happy to answer any questions should council have any.
Questions on this for Mr. Wager? None. Can I get a mover and seconder to receive this? Councillor Davison, Councillor Calver, all in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Item 3 is community safety zones. And this is just to receive Mr. Wager again.
Yes, so this is the bylaw, this is the report that accompanies the bylaw as per council direction at the previous council meeting. Directing staff to implement community safety zones in Loyalist Township adjacent to the school properties that front on county roads. Also, as part of the bylaw, we brought forward the revised community safety zone policy, which then has criteria so we can gauge and determine other areas of concern as these areas are brought to our attention to see if they need to be community safety zones as well. I'll be happy to answer any questions should council have any.
Questions on the safety zones? Just one from me, Mr. Wager. Who takes the initiative to request a community safety zone? Would it be the school or the township? How does it work?
So it can be the general public, it can be a council, it can be the school, it can be a community group if there's a concerned parent council committee. That's the purpose. It can be actually even staff, municipal staff, bring it to our attention. We will, as we get speed data, traffic data, and we look at the criteria, As our data updates, we'll continually review the areas to see if they now trigger the warrant for a community safety zone. But should a group want to investigate whether one's needed, they can request that through staff, and we can do a quick report on it and get back to that group whether or not it's staff recommends it. That said, council can always direct staff to implement them wherever they choose as well. That's the right of council. So be happy to answer any further questions.
Thank you. Councillor Calvert.
Thank you, through your warden. Chris, so these safety zones, are they just strictly for school areas, or would they be maybe out in the rural areas where you've got school buses turning, maybe on a blind corner or something where you could reduce the speed, or is it strictly just for school areas?
It's not restricted to school areas. I would say it's restricted to more urban areas. The policy that we've enacted is similar to or that we're proposing that council approve is similar to all the municipalities that are using the same criteria, is that it's posted in 60 or below. On an 80-kilometer posted speed, if you have a blind corner bus, there's warning signs for that. School bus stopping ahead with a big yellow caution on it. This can be done at a fire hall, a community center, a long-term care facility. Definitely schools is where that's where they first happen, is at schools. That kind of triggers it the most. A park similar to Colebrook Park, the one in Colebrook, we looked at that area. All of those public areas can be a community safety zone.
Anyone else? Could I have a mover for the to receive that report? Councillor Calver and Councillor Davison, all in favor? Carried. Thank you. Okay, item 4, Deputy Chief Emergency Services Rob Burns. This is in regard to the 9/11 services that we have, and Rob, you can speak to this.
Thank you, Warden, and through you. I only have one item to bring to Council's note, and that is the date on the documents. They're currently May, and should Council be in favor of moving forward with this recommendation, that those dates will be updated at the time of signature, and that's done through an online portal. Other than that, I have nothing else to add to that, and happy to answer any questions.
Questions for Rob on this one? I didn't realize that 911 required more than one step, so this was interesting for me. All right, thanks, Rob. Can I get a mover and seconder for this report? Councillor Hagedorn, Councillor Hogg, all in favor? That's carried. Thanks, Rob. Number 5 is the Lear study item, and let me just get that up here. And our planner, Anna. Is it Galati or Gelati, Anna? I'm sorry. Either way. Well, no. What do you prefer? Gelati. All right. Thank you. Yes, this is a very interesting report to me. Go ahead, Anna, and tell us whatever you want to tell us about this issue.
Great. Thank you. Not much to add other than what's in the report. We heard back from Loyalist and the town of Napanee with both recommendations to proceed with doing a study. And as I mentioned in our last council meeting, where this was a topic of presentation, we recommend doing a Lear study just because of where we're geographically located. It's the better study to do in our opinion. And then the only other thing I'd like to highlight is that we've put together kind of a preliminary list with roles of people who would be potentially included in the working group that would be part of this, as that was a request from both of the lower tiers that be a larger group. So we've put together a preliminary list, may be subject to change depending on kind of what happens and what whoever, if we decide to go forward with this, is awarded the RFP also recommends. But that is just a list for council to take a look at. Other than that, happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Anna on this? I know it's impossible for you to say, but how long typically would this sort of study take? In
speaking with other municipalities, typically about minimum 2 years, like around 4 is more what they're seeing, depending on how much public engagement you go through and how much the public kind of doesn't agree with the process. So some of them have seen a much smoother process and others have not, so that's kind of the time frame we're looking at.
Right, thank you. So there's a number of recommendations here to receive the report, to support the undertaking of the study, and directing staff to finalize and initiate a request for proposals process in the fall regarding the Lear study to commence in early 2025, and the council confirms its intent to include the project expenses of $150,000 in the 2025 and 2026 operating budgets. So we are making a budget decision if I understand it, if we support all these recommendations. So on that understanding, can I get a mover and seconder for that, please? Councillor Davison moves, Deputy Warden Townend seconds. All in favor? That's carried. Thanks. Thanks, Anna. That takes us to the committee reports by members of council. I'm not sure if anyone has anything to bring forward from any of the committees that they're on. Anyone wish to speak? No? Item 7 is Rural Transit Service. Get this up here. And Brenda, you're going to speak to this one. Yes, thank you.
Through you, Mr. Chair. So you recall at our last council meeting, council passed a resolution to basically say that if Loyalist was not able to use the transportation grant funding that we allocated to Loyalist by September 1st, that we would reclaim that amount back for a different kind of project, specifically because we have a deadline of March 31st to spend that money from the province. And as we approach March 31st, the province will start to reclaim those pots of money back to reallocate themselves, because they don't want the end of the year to come and the money not be spent. And there's lots of other communities looking for funding, of course, for things like transportation. And as much as we didn't want to put pressure on Loyalist, we realized we have a deadline, and we have, the last thing we would want, it's the amount of money is almost $200,000. The last thing we would want is for the whole community or the county to lose the possibility of utilizing $200,000 for transportation. So that's not in nobody's best interest. So last night at Loyalist Council, and I'm sure our council members from Loyalist might want to speak to this as well, they've requested a 1-month extension to October 1st so that they could possibly resurrect a project that they were hoping to see happen and utilize those funds. So, but that both councillors might want to speak to this as well. So I'm happy to answer any questions that council might have.
Any questions or comments? Councillor Hagedorn.
Thank you, Warden. I can just give a brief update from the Loyalist perspective. When we went in, we were planning on at the meeting last night to be approving a plan and bringing that so that the September deadline would not have been an issue. The plan is still in place, but the service provider had a change of heart at literally the 11th hour. So when we went into the meeting last night, staff had already secured the potential for 3 other service providers, 2 of which looked to be very interested and 1 extremely interested. So the plan is already in place. It's just a matter of us securing and negotiating with the service provider. So that's why the 1-month extension was requested, because we're not reinventing the wheel. We're just putting a new hub on it. And so that's why we're coming back with the request, because we believe with securing a new service provider, we'll be able to be in place and the funds be utilized fully.
Thanks, Councillor Hagedorn. Anything further? Yes, Councillor Calver.
Through your worship there, I guess my concern is this has been out for quite a while, and we're just now getting around to getting it. Is there any chance that we could lose this funding if another month is granted?
Yes, Brenda will respond.
Through you, Mr. Chair. So I did check with Stephen Paul today. He's sorry he's not able to be at the meeting. He is the director responsible for this project. And he will be checking with MTO to make sure that the nature of the project that you're intending to pursue satisfies MTO's requirements for the grant funding, but he's pretty sure that it ticks all the boxes. So that wouldn't be a concern. He also said he wasn't concerned that the 1 month would make a difference, but if we did this, that October 1st should be like the last or only extension, because then we're really cutting it too close. So, yeah, there is a risk. He thinks the risk is low for 1 more month, but that we shouldn't go past 1 more month. That was the feedback that I got today from the director.
Okay, because it's a good sum of money for sure, and like I say, we actually have everything in place and working. I would just hate to take that opportunity to lose if we did. That's a lot of money to have to give back, and a lot of money for our community not to get any benefit from. So, thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Calvert. Anything further? So what do you need in terms of a motion, Tracy, on this one, or Brenda? Go ahead.
Through you, Mr. Chair, the motion would be to either to grant the extension to October 1st or to not grant the extension to October 1st, whatever council's pleasure is.
Okay. Do I have a mover for either one of those options? Councillor Hagedorn?
I would move to receive the correspondence and approve the deadline extension for 1 month to October 1st, 2024, for Loyalist Township to confirm the Rural Transit Service Pilot Project and Plan.
Do I have a seconder? Councillor Hogg? Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Thank you. If I turn my mic on, which brings us to other business, the first being statement. Sorry, did I miss something? Oh, yes, I'm jumping ahead here. Sorry, resolutions. Yes, I'm way ahead of myself. The first one is joint campaign on physician shortage. Anyone want to support that resolution or just receive it? Councillor Hogg. Receive and support. Councillor Hogg moves receive and support. Is there a seconder? Deputy Warden Townend, any discussion? All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Matters for information. Can we get a general motion to receive those 3 pieces of information? Deputy Warden Townend and Councillor Hogg. Does anyone wish to pull anything out of that list? All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Now we are at other business. Statements by members. Anyone have anything they wish to bring forward? Councillor Townend, go ahead. Sorry, Deputy Warden.
Through you, Warden, I'd just like to extend condolences to the family of Shirley Miller, who passed away. She has obviously been a big figure in the Amherst Island community and in the Loyalist community, but also in the LNA community. Her art is very well known. She is very well known as a local historian, and she'll be sadly missed.
Thank you. I'll add my sentiments to that. I knew Shirley and Keith reasonably well from my days as a crop insurance yield inspector. I would have to go around to various farms, and what a wonderful couple they are. You know, the most warm-hearted, relaxed, yes, and of course talented. Yeah, so I'm sad about losing Shirley as well. Anyone else? Well, I would just say that Councillor Richardson and I, and by the way, I didn't welcome you, Bob. I'm sorry. Bob Norrie is sitting in for Terry Richardson this evening. I was remiss on not recognizing you. Thanks for filling in. Terry and I, of course, attended the Goodyear announcement of the expansion on Wednesday. A number of councillors were in attendance as well. Councillor Davison, Councillor Calver was there, Deputy Warden Townend. I don't know if anyone else was there. Those are the faces I picked out of the crowd. It was very interesting. I'd never been in the plant before. We got a tour of the production process, which was fascinating to me, the materials that go into that process and how the molding works and the vulcanization process, all of that. Both the Prime Minister and Premier were quite interested as well. And then we had the official announcement. The international CEO of Goodyear was there, Mark Stewart from Akron. It was interesting to talk to a sort of corporate heavy hitter like that fellow. It was generally a positive announcement. It's a nearly $600 million expansion. We, of course, with our community improvement plan, have facilitated that a little bit at both the stone mills and the Napanee level to give some tax relief to the plant. There's Ontario money, there's federal money in there as well. It was all around a very sort of positive experience. Some of you may have seen a video clip of me apparently going a little rogue in my speech. It was an out of context clip. I thought, the Prime Minister was talking about jobs and so on, and we all were. And the Premier was talking about how much money Ontario's invested in battery plants, in supporting electric vehicles. The mention was made that Goodyear is going to be having an EV tire production line because EVs being heavier require certain types of tires. Nobody was mentioning what the driving force behind all this investment in all these new technologies is, and it's climate change. So I had to take a minute and 45 seconds to point out that is happening, and it is a major crisis, and that's the reason we're spending all this money and creating all those jobs. So if anyone thinks I was not properly representing the county by my little bit of ad lib there, I felt that I was. So that's just my excuse. But it was enjoyable, and it was interesting to meet those people in person. Further on with other business, anyone have a notice of motion? Any matters of urgency? None declared. In that case, we are going to go into closed session. This will be to discuss a pending acquisition of land by the municipality and to consider financial information supplied in confidence to the municipality. So can I get a motion to go into closed session? Deputy Warden Townend and Councillor Hogg, all in favor? That's carried. Thank you. All right, we're back in open session after our closed session. In closed session, County Council approved minutes from the July 17th, 24 closed session meeting and considered a potential acquisition of property. Can I get a motion that staff proceed as directed in closed session, please? Councillor Hogg, Deputy Warden Townend, all in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Now, I've got to get back on my device here so I know what else we've got going. I know we have some bylaws. And the first one is the item that we discussed earlier about stop signs. This is a bylaw to amend bylaw number 3516/21 as amended to designate through highways and stop signs at intersections. You have a copy of the bylaw before you. Can I get first, second, and third reading? Is that what we want, Tracy? Can I get a motion to that effect? Councillor Norrie, Councillor Calver, any discussion? All in favor? It's carried. Thank you. The second one, as we discussed in Mr. Wager's report earlier, is our community safety zone bylaw, a bylaw to repeal bylaw number 2743/00 and to adopt the policy to establish guidelines for community safety zones on the county roads. Can I get first, second, and third? Councillor Hogg, Councillor Davison, any discussion? All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. And further to Mr. Burns' report earlier, the Northern 911 Agreement. This is a bylaw to authorize the Corporation of the County of Lennox and Addington to enter into an agreement with Northern 911 for the purpose of providing primary public safety answering point services. Can I get a first, second, and third reading motion here? Councillor Hagedorn and Councillor Calver, any discussion? All in favor? That is carried. And a bylaw to confirm the proceedings this evening. Councillor Hogg, Deputy Warden Townend, all in favor? That's carried. And a motion to adjourn, please. Councillor Davison, Councillor Calver,